All right, everyone, it's 6 o'clock. I'd like to welcome you to the Newfane Select Board regular meeting. It's November 21st, and I'm glad to have everyone here. I'm sorry I'm not there to be in person, still battling my injuries from an accident, but here I am. And at the table, we have Ann Golob, Katie Johnson-Aplin, and Jeff Chevalier on the phone, Mike Fitzpatrick, and myself on Zoom, Angela Sanborn. Are there any, or to confirm this meeting been properly warned? I would say between myself, Katie, and Carol, our town clerk, we posted and got this properly warned. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda?
No.
Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the November 7th regular select board meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I make such a motion.
All right, thank you. Ann, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? I abstain. Is there a motion to approve the November 7 Board of Liquor Control meeting minutes?
I make a motion.
Thank you. Second.
I second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? I abstain. Thank you. And then the November 14th budget meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Second.
Who wants the motion?
I get it in Mike seconds.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Ayes have it. Good evening, Jay. Welcome. We're on to the road foreman and road commissioners report.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yes.
I just want to say that there are two people who are on Zoom who do not have their names on their
Login.
They're not
Login.
identified.
And so you need to be identified for any kind of select board meeting. So if you could just go into your Zoom and put in your name, and if for any reason you can't do that, you could, in this instance, just send the chat to Juanetta, and I think Juanetta can do it for you. But we need to know who's on the call. Thank you.
Thank you for catching that, Ann. All right, Jay.
Okay. The engineer is updating everything on the Depot Road box culvert, and we're reviewing to make sure all the permits are in order. So that's looking like it might go out to bid some point this winter for next summer. The Arch Bridge is hopefully getting line painting on Wednesday, and will possibly be open that afternoon. So it's still up in the air if the line painters are going to show up, but that's the plan. So it's hard to schedule anything too far ahead. That's what they're hopeful with. As of this afternoon, that's what the plan was. The sand salt shed has nothing new to report. The repairs to Bridge 41 off Baker Brook Road have been completed.
Great.
The Monroe Bridge cleaning and greasing has been completed. And the Roy Brooks Road Bridge replacement started this morning. That I believe they're going to set the new deck on Wednesday. So that'll be done hopefully Thanksgiving or the Friday. And FEMA came up with another piece of land located on Steepway that they want pictures of, and I'll do that this week. It'll be the same form that we had that AM signed, that we haven't done anything with it. And then I forgot to add in here the covered bridge. We had a week and a half ago or whatever it was, we had some pretty significant damage from a Penske box truck, about $14,000 worth of damage. So I'm going after their insurance company. Not the easiest people to deal with, I found so far. But I'll keep you posted. Hopefully they'll cover this whole thing. We have a picture of the truck, so it's kind of hard to deny it. So we'll see. And the other thing is for the budget meeting next Monday, can we add on the auction? The F550 truck is on the Auctions International, and it'll end that like at 4 or 5 that day. And we have to decide whether to accept that offer. Right now it's at 15,000, I think 5. So in another week, who knows what it'll be at. But if we could add that to the agenda, that would be good.
Will do. Okay. Is there a motion to accept the road foreman and commissioners report?
Yeah, I'll accept.
Thank you, Mike. Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Katie. In discussion? No discussion? Okay. All those in favor of accepting the road foreman and commissioners report, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great, ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
You guys do a wonderful job. We appreciate all that you do. And Juanetta, administrative assistance report.
I don't have a formal report, but I do realize that Thursday is Thanksgiving Day and Carol will not be in the office. The town clerk will not be in the office Wednesday or Friday.
Okay. Thank you for the update, and I guess we don't need to do anything further because there's not a report. Committee report, and this is on Deb Luskin. Is Deb Luskin on with us tonight or in person?
She is not, but she did send a email to Juanetta to inform the select board. Do you want me to go
Would you
ahead?
mind reading it for us, Anne?
Sure. It said, "This is my report to the select board about the impossibility of holding a hybrid town meeting at this time. The letter from Susan Senning at VLCT attached below explains why. So, it's back to the select board to set the date and time of the town meeting. Any social hour must occur before the meeting is called to order, during a recess, or following adjournment. Refreshments can be available during the meeting. In the past, the Newfane and then Newbrook 6th grade provided baked goods, coffee, and tea. One year they offered soup as well. The proceeds went toward their trip to Montreal. The 6th grade is now at LGUHS. I can't remember if the Newbrook 5th grade ran the concession the last time we had an in-person town meeting. Maybe it's time to offer the gig to another local organization, the Historical Society, library, everyone eats. I welcome the select board's interest in building social capital with food." And then I'll just briefly read what Susan Senning, who is, I believe, she's one of the staff attorneys at VLCT. She said there is currently no authority in Vermont law for remote voting at an annual or special town meeting. As the Dillon's rules state, Vermont municipalities only have the authority granted to them expressly by the legislature, or those powers implied, necessary, incidental to those granted powers. There is nothing in Vermont law authorizing remote participation for voting at town meeting, except for Brattleboro under a temporary law this year, and the Secretary of State and his Elections Division only supported that because the representatives who vote were a limited, defined class of people. I don't think I need to read more. I think the bottom line is we can't do it. So
Right.
there is more. If anyone is interested, we can share this email with you. But the bottom line is we can't have a hybrid meeting, so it has to be in person only. And so the date will be the first Tuesday, and then we just need to decide on the time.
The first Tuesday at 9.
That's what we typically
Oh,
do.
here, Deb Luskin is coming in right now.
Oh, hi, Deb. Can you hear me, Deb? Or is she still logging in?
She's still.
She's connecting.
Okay.
Hi Deb, welcome to the meeting. We just read your email.
You're being unmuted, so you can talk to us.
Can you turn the fans off?
I'm sorry, I'm having technical issues tonight.
Okay.
But I've got it now. Has Jay given his report?
Yes, I just read your email.
Uh-huh. Okay, which one?
The one about the hybrid town meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's sad news.
It is. Nothing further to report?
No, that seemed like the end of the line.
Yeah. So we're right now talking about having it still the first Tuesday, and I believe it starts at 9, if I'm not mistaken.
That's when we've always started, yeah.
Yeah. Shall we have a motion to continue with the first Tuesday in March at 9 a.m.?
I make a
I'll
motion.
make
Thank you, Anne. A second?
second.
Who seconded?
Jeff's trying hard to second something. Excuse me.
So Jeff is our second. Great, thank you. Any further discussion on that?
I would say that after now that we've set that date, that we then, if Winetta could make the calls to the various, to look for candidates who would do the refreshments for us, and then we see what they would, if we want to recess for refreshments or after, depending on which group volunteers to do it and what they would prefer, perhaps.
Right.
Do you have
Okay.
a preference, Deb?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You're
Do
breaking
you have
up.
a preference when we have the refreshments, either during the meeting, throughout, take a recess at the beginning or at the end?
I think that I don't know what you've got in mind, but in the past, the refreshments, people get coffee when they come in, when there's a break in the action, when they go to vote. It's sort of going on all the time. We don't recess, but if we have any state senators or Emily coming to report, that's a time people get up sometimes. I don't know that it needs to be formalized unless you do a lunch.
Okay.
This is great. In the past, I've done this and I've never had any help from the select board. I love this. This is terrific.
I mean, if you guys are thinking, if you're thinking of having something like, like a little lunching or whatever like that, would it pay to start the meeting at 10 instead of 9? That way you're bringing it closer to the noon, an hour. It seems like our meetings only last about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
I would say let's see who we might get to do food, because we may not have anyone who wants to prepare a lunch. So let's see who we get, and at worst, we would still have time to change the time of the meeting from 9 o'clock.
Or if you get one of the classes that do baked goods throughout the day, like they've always done in the past, that's also really good to have.
Just taking a look at the calendar, the first Tuesday of the month is March 7th.
Okay.
Sounds right. So the motion on the table is that town meeting is the first Tuesday, which is now March 7 at 9 a.m. Is there any further discussion? We'll find out more about food and committees that might be interested in doing so.
Yeah.
Ready to vote?
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Great. We are moving right along with our agenda this evening. So we're quite ahead of the time frame that's on our agenda. but it looks like we have several people here that are for our scheduled members of the public that I apologize that it's left to be determined, but we didn't know at the time when we were writing this. So I'm going to start with Joanne, is it Bourbeau from WinDart?
Hi, thank you.
Good evening and welcome.
Hi, thank you very much. I try to get out of the light here, so I'm not. Thanks very much for considering the Wyndham Disaster Animal Response Team for funding. Just to give you a little background on WinDart, we're a regional team of the statewide Vermont Disaster Animal Response Team, and we have 5 regional teams across the state. So we cover Windham County, and all of the towns in Windham County we consider our service area. And mostly we do pet sheltering services here in Windham County. If there was ever, we have a written agreement with the American Red Cross and with the Vermont Agency of Agriculture to provide pet sheltering services. So if we ever had to set up a warming shelter for people, we could potentially help shelter animals, or if there was a natural disaster, for example, we could set up a pet shelter and take care of the people, the pets, while the Red Cross takes care of the people. So it's a good relationship where families, I'm sure we probably have lots of pet owners here, on this call, who wouldn't leave their pets behind in a disaster. And a lot of people would put themselves in harm's way in order to keep their pets safe. So we want to make sure that people have the resources to leave safely with their animals and that we can take care of them and then reunite them afterward. So we, this past year, have focused on pet preparedness. We have a great relationship with State Farm, and we've been distributing disaster go kits for pets across Windham County. Over the summer and fall, we tabled at the flea market in Wilmington, the Blueberry Festival, the Windham County Humane Society Walk for Animals, and even Trunk or Treat. And we gave away over 300 go bags just at the Halloween event. And those are pet preparedness. It's got a leash and a little collapsible bowl, and just gets people started on having a disaster kit for their animals. This year, we also tabled and spoke at the Vermont Emergency Management Conference on animals and pets and how to keep them safe, and making sure that people include animals as part of their disaster plan. We continue to train our team members. We hosted an emergency animal sheltering workshop just a couple of weeks ago and brought our team in to actually do a mock drill. So we will practice using our trailer, taking all the equipment out, setting up a pet shelter, and actually going through the motions of intaking animals and so that we're prepared when the real thing happens. We've actually had some training and experience, because we don't have disasters every day, thank goodness, but we know from prior experience, Hurricane Irene and others, that we're certainly not immune here in Vermont. We also partnered with the Vermont Police Academy this year and brought our trailer up to help with a mock animal crime scene scenario that we did, and used our equipment to help with that. So we know that I would consider animal cruelty cases sort of a man-made disaster. So we're also able to assist in those cases. And most recently, we have also coordinated pet food donations. This year, the Humane Society of the United States, which is the organization I work for, and I volunteer and chair the WinDart team, and as well as the Vermont Disaster Animal Response Team. We had 50,000 pounds of pet food donated to the Vermont Food Bank, and the Brattleboro facility warehouse just got a donation at the end of October. We also donated up in Franklin County. And then just coming up, we're hoping to do another holiday pet drive this year and provide pet food to the local food pantries in our service area as well. So that's kind of what we're planning for our end of year activities. And we're always planning year round for the inevitable, and really appreciate the town's support in the past and other surrounding towns just to help us with our operating expenses. We get no state funding, we get no federal funding. So we're a 501c3. So everything we raise, we have to do through private donations and grants. So we really appreciate your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Wonderful organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
I'm curious, most people think of cats and dogs and horses and livestock. Do you do pocket pets and amphibians and birds as well in those situations?
We typically do. It would depend on where the shelter was and whether we had the capacity to safely house those animals. But they are in the definition when after Katrina happened, the Pets Act was passed federally. And it's a federal law that requires municipalities and states to have planning for animals as part of their plans. And they have a definition of companion animal, and it does include the animals you mentioned. So we would potentially even be able to get reimbursement from FEMA if we were to shelter those animals in a local shelter, especially because we've got a very close relationship with the emergency management, both the local emergency management officials and the state VEM. So we certainly, we drill with those types of animals as well, and understand that they're very popular, and certainly could be prepared to help out with those as well. Yes.
Great. What are you asking for an appropriation this year?
$250.
And I believe that's the same as last year, right?
It is, yes. Yeah.
Great.
Are there any other questions for Joanne?
No?
Wonderful. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I said I have none.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it's difficult being on Zoom and trying to make everything work.
I can imagine.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Joanne. It was good to hear from you, and such a great description of your program.
Great. Thanks for your time. Appreciate
Wonderful.
it.
Thank you. Okay. Moving along, next I have Jane Douglas. Is she in person?
Yes.
Jane, good evening. You're here representing Newbrook News and Newfane New.
That's it.
Welcome.
Yeah, Priscilla couldn't be here tonight, so I'm winging it. I don't know how long Newfane New has been around. I only joined it a few years ago. At the beginning of the pandemic, apparently we forgot to put in for a budget request for several years due to COVID. But during when the pandemic first hit, we resurrected the Newbrook News, which has been around under a different name off and on for quite a long time. So we published 6 or 7 issues while the pandemic was going on. It was a great little way to get out information to everyone in the Newfane and Brookline zip codes. So the costs we bear for that is the printing and publishing and posting it through the post office costs, which are pretty heavy. But we didn't do the Winterfest, which is the other thing Newfane and New has done over the past few years, just because of COVID. And this year we've talked about doing the Winterfest again, but I think at this point in the year it's a little too late. We've talked, Priscilla has talked to the library. I guess they're going to try to help out with their Santa Claus coming. Something is going on for that. I'm not so sure about that part. So anyway, so we're asking to be put back on the budget list so that we can get an annual appropriation to fund us ongoing and do the Winterfest next year, at least, and try to keep the Newbrook News being published. It costs $1,500 to publish an issue. And we've been publishing 4 issues a year, but we'll see whether we can keep that up or not. So we're only asking for $3,000, which is really the only cost of 2 publishings. Or hopefully, along with the advertising, we do sell ads in it, so that offsets some of the cost. So that would leave us with some money for the Winterfest. So, but that's it, I guess. Any questions? Great.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Didn't happen to know how much Newfane and New got in the past when you did get social appropriations?
I don't know. Angela, you know?
I want to say it was either 1,500 or 2,000.
Yeah.
I'd have to look back, but we haven't asked in such a long time, so I'm not quite sure. I can't remember.
Yeah, so it is a little bit more, and, it's not enough to cover all the publishing costs. We do sell ads as well, so trying to help cover the cost.
And Newfane Anew also does the flags along the street for Memorial Day, and they also do some of the Christmas lights on the common for the tree and such. So they still do a few things, but we're hoping with community involvement, we can get some more helpers and we can bring back a lot of the things we used to do.
Yeah, it would be nice to get our name out there some more and attract more interest from citizens of the town.
Well, it's always good to promote something in town.
Right.
So,
There-
consideration.
Any other questions for Jane? Well, thank you so much for being here, Jane. We appreciate you and all that you do for the town. And next, we would like to say hello to Russell Bradbury-Carlin. He is here from Youth Services. Good evening, Russell. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you for having me and having us. Thanks for putting us earlier on in the agenda. Appreciate that.
That way.
Yeah, so yeah, and thank you all for your ongoing past support. The town has been supportive of youth services for a long time. So I'm the executive director there, and when I describe youth services these days, I kind of say we have two types of programming. We have a growing restorative justice program, which actually serves some adults too. And so we may be looking at a name change over the next year or so, but so restorative justice, we have like court diversion programs. We have a program that works specifically with adolescents who are kind of like on the edge of getting into the criminal justice system. And really all of our restorative justice programs are trying to prevent people in general who are getting kind of like into positions where they might get caught up in the criminal justice system and try to give them alternatives so they don't get pulled in. Sometimes I think of like criminal justice, it's definitely a system we need, but I think of it sometimes as kind of like this machinery that if you're not careful and you get your like sweater caught into it, you get pulled in and it's really hard to get out, and it really has some harsh impacts on you in the long run. So we have a lot of programs that tackle that from different angles. And then the other part of our program is probably more traditionally what folks know us for, and that's our youth programming. And in general, the quick version, what I say about what we do is like, I say that any young person, and that's a teen to young adult, so like 12 to 24, who's like struggling or they're in any way or their family is concerned about them, can contact youth services, and we have a bunch of grants, and I'll describe some of the things that we do so I can be a little more specific. But what we try to do is not have people get bogged down in kind of like which bucket do they fit in. Like we want people to, a young person to feel like we're going to work with them. We're going to find out what they need. We're going to do some assessments, and then we'll figure out they don't need to know which bucket necessarily they're falling into, or working within our agency. And so, we will work with them. And if we can't, then we will make a referral, and we call them a warm handoff. We will work with them if they're nervous about contacting another agency, we will help make that phone call. We will connect them to someone specific if we're not able to provide that service. But in general, the funding that we get is a lot of it is around runaway and homeless youth. So we have several programs, including a transitional living program, and we do get some housing vouchers for young adults that we're able to provide. We do a lot of work with the child welfare system. We have a program that we get involved ideally when before a young person or a family gets involved in child welfare, or if they've just started to get involved so they don't get more deeply involved. And we do we work with the young person directly, but also we have counselors who will work with the family too, and even do some mediation work if need be. And then we also run another program that works with youth who have been in the child welfare system for a long time and help them make that transition from being in the system to being an adult. And we kind of like help them navigate all the different systems that they will encounter. And we get funding from the state in order to kind of provide them help with getting rent done or to buy a suit for their first interview. Yeah, that's a broad overview. Yeah. Do you have any questions?
Well, I'd like to say that youth services, you do a wonderful job with all of the services that you provide for the community. It's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate
Russell.
hearing that. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Russell? Ann?
I have a question. I was just curious. I know you say in your letter that you serve 14 residents from Newfane in fiscal year 2022. I was just curious to understand more about sort of the size of your program and how many youth overall you were able to serve in the last fiscal year.
Yeah, we generally serve, I think that over the last few years, we've generally served between 12 to 1,400 people in general across the year. So yeah, I'm pretty sure last year it was somewhere, it was almost exactly in between, it's somewhere around 1,300.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Any other questions? Well, we'd like to thank you for being here tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great night, and I appreciate your consideration.
You too. Take care, Russell.
Bye-bye.
And next on the agenda, we have Kate Lamphere from HCRS. Are you here with us? Hi, Kate. Welcome. Good evening.
Hi there. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Kate Lamphere, and I'm the Chief Clinical Services Officer at HCRS. And if you all don't know, HCRS is your local community mental health center. So we are the designated agency responsible for providing mental health, substance use, and developmental services for Vermonters and visitors in Windsor and Windham County. So we run a 24/7 crisis response team available to serve people who are experiencing a mental health emergency, either in a hospital emergency room or a community setting. So we have a hotline, and then we have mobile crisis response 24/7. We also have embedded police liaisons. So we have folks that are mental health workers who work alongside local law enforcement. And actually in Newfane, we have a police liaison embedded at the Vermont State Police Department, the Westminster Barracks, which is, she's available Monday through Friday. It's not an evenings and weekends kind of a gig. We have children, youth, and family programming, meeting the mental health needs of children, youth, and families. We have adult mental health services, including substance use services and psychiatric services for adults. We have developmental services serving people with developmental disabilities to remain safe and stable in the community through shared living provider and supported housing models. And then we have a residential continuum of services. So we have 5 residential programs with 30 beds total, supporting people at various degrees of needs, basically. We have a crisis stabilization program, we have 2 transitional programs, and then we have hospital step-down programs. So we are asking for $1,850, and primarily that money goes to support our intake and access program. So we turn nobody away due to their ability or inability to pay. So the resources go to supporting people who are underinsured or uninsured to access mental health services and emergency services, which an emergency is somebody who is experiencing thoughts of suicide or experiencing situations that are making it difficult to live safely out in the community. There's a lot more I could say about HCRS, but I think that is the summary.
Thank you so much, Kate. What an important organization to have in our community. Thanks. Are there any questions for Kate? No questions at this time?
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate you and your organization and all that you do for our community.
Thanks so much.
Good to have you.
Bye-bye.
And next, I'd like to introduce Maia Segura from the South Newfane Community Association.
That's correct. Thank you.
Hi, Maia. Welcome. Good to have you here tonight.
Thank you. Gosh, we're so happy to be here. Jamie Litz is also here supporting the South Newfane Community Association as well, fellow board member and husband also. So he didn't really have a choice. He had to be here. But that's how we roll in South Newfane. So the South Newfane Community Association has at the heart of its being the South Newfane Schoolhouse, and that was built in 1867 and was actually used as a school until 1952. 12 or 15 years ago, the South Newfane Community Association came together and it started really as a group of just friends and neighbors, and decided that they really wanted to save the schoolhouse building and preserve it as a resource for the community. And over the years, it's been used for birthday parties and concerts and storytelling hour and weddings, parties, a resource for community meetings, those kinds of things. And over the last couple of years during the pandemic, while bigger meetings weren't happening, it became a very, very precious resource for people to be able to do things like, number one, leave their homes and go to a safe space where they could practice their music without driving their wives crazy, or do their martial arts, or just spend some time meditating and practicing yoga and staying healthy, doing all the things that they needed to do to stay healthy. One thing that's really exciting is that over the last year or so, we have seen people starting to reach out to us for meetings again and have more socially distanced meetings. It was a safe, open area where people felt like they could do that. The space is available to people on a donation basis only. We don't set any prices, and it's if people can't afford to be there, to pay to be there, we certainly are absolutely welcoming to everybody in the community. One of the other things that we started to do over the last couple of years during the pandemic was to activate the building. It's a very, very dark corner in the center of South Newfane Village, and especially at night during the winter, it gets a little bit depressing. So a couple of years ago, we turned the schoolhouse into the Schoolhouse Snow Globe, where we had over 100 handmade snowflakes that were donated by members of the community that were installed into the building to just really create a way for people to be together without being together, which was very cool and just kind of enlivened the area. We activated the space over Halloween. A group of neighbors got together as a placemaking activity to decorate the schoolhouse and turn it into the South Newfane Ghoul House. Initially, we had hoped this year that we could have the schoolhouse be a location for trick-or-treating and have several stations. And just with the pandemic sort of rising back up again, we weren't really comfortable doing that just yet. Hopefully next year. One of the big things that's happened for us in the last year is that we were gifted the South Newfane Baptist Church. As that organization dissolved, they wanted to make sure that it was the property was handed over to a group of invested neighbors that were going to steward the space into its next life. One of the spaces within the space was the little library, which was a very active community resource, again, particularly during the pandemic, but for several years before that. One of the conditions of us taking over the building was that the old board wanted us to move the little library into the South Newfane Schoolhouse. So We spent, I don't know, a lot of time painting and scraping and sort of erasing the old latrine and turning it into a little reading nook. So it's a really sweet space that is actually 2 rooms. We've got a local artist, our authors section in the little library. We're seeing really interesting books coming and going. And it's a very sweet spot for just a respite. This year we were also able to hold a community open house. And of course the Rock River Artist happens there. That's sort of the hub of that event. And so we were able to kind of poll people as they were coming through both of those events and ask them how they would like to see the space activated. And we've got some really, really cool ideas that will be starting to filter through to see how we can use that to continue to bring community together and build it from the inside out, and especially all the new neighbors that we have, which are amazing people in the community that we'd all like to get to know better. So we are asking for $2,000 this year, which is the same as last year. We have some deferred maintenance on the building, and we're starting to build up a building fund. And so that will primarily go to shore up the building and continue to make it a viable space. We also were surprised this year with a property tax bill from the town of Newfane for the church property. And that was, I mean, I kind of have to laugh at the number, $1,666.
For 1 quarter.
For one, yeah, 1 quarter, 1/2.
1 quarter.
1 quarter. So this is money that we absolutely did not expect to pay. So so we're gonna need to be hustling a little bit to make sure that we can meet all of our bills and also protect this sweet community resource.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Are there any questions?
Thank you.
The church is for sale, right? Is that?
It is. It's actually under contract right now.
Okay.
It's a protracted situation right now. So we believe we found a person in southern Vermont who will preserve the exterior and also protect the building. Somebody who has a background in historic preservation and has some really neat ideas about how that building will end up benefiting the community. So we certainly were a little disillusioned about our initial asking price and where we ended up, but it is another building that just needs a lot of care, and it's still standing proud, but to do it right, we wanted to make sure that we found the right partner, and we think we did.
Okay.
I would just add, as the treasurer of the South Newfane Community Association, I would just add that that closing will be delayed, so we will not see those funds for several months, or perhaps a year. So.
Or perhaps a year.
Yeah. It's not going to be an Airbnb, is it?
No. No, it is not.
Well, great. Thank you so much. Good to have you guys here, and we really appreciate all that you do, and it's such a nice place to have in the community.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, we will move on to Diana Urbaska. She's the chair of the Incorporated Village of Newfane. Good evening, Diana. Good to have you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Wow, this is a great segue from one community building to another. Thank you, Angela. I don't know if you did that on purpose.
No, it's how it was written to me.
Okay. Well, great. Well, I'm here representing the Incorporated Village of Newfane, but who owns Union Hall, and which is another great community resource and amazing historic building. And Union Hall is kept up by a tax which is levied on only the village residents of Newfane. However, Union Hall is a great resource to not just the village residents, but to the entire town of Newfane community, and even further afield from that. We do have like the schoolhouse maintenance, which really adds up, and we have some big projects coming up, which are redoing the stairs outside the building and redoing the floors, and eventually repainting, which is such an enormous job. So for that reason, we are asking for $2,000. Last year, we did ask for $1,500. The amazing thing is, I'm new to the board, that aside from last year, we've never asked for money. It's something that just somehow got overlooked by the village residents, that this was something that was available to them and possibly could help benefit, again, Union Hall and the entire community. And so we just would hope for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we'd like to thank you as well for being here tonight. And that is another wonderful building to have in the community that is open for use for the community.
Yes.
So,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, that's the end of our appropriation requests. And now we are moving on to unscheduled members of the public. Would anybody like to speak?
There's one person here.
Okay.
Hi, Angela, full board.
Hi, George.
Hi, I'm George Friend. I live here in Newfane. After listening to all these wonderful things that the community is doing, I almost hate to bring this up. I'm going to bring it up because it's something that's on my mind and should be addressed. I'm going to give a little bit of history. I'll try to be quick, I promise. About 18 months ago, there was a conversation started on a front porch forum about flags at our house. It was started by somebody in the neighborhood, and there was some nasty back and forth, and it finally ended. And we quickly received after that an anonymous letter to Red Rocker Farm from somebody who knows who, because nobody turned to address. But it was a typewritten letter, and it was a picture of the white Christian flag with the cross, and underneath it was the white Christian flag, but no cross. It was a swastika, and it's the same with some expletives in there. It was offensive, but we quickly got over it. We didn't think of it. We just ignored it. We didn't respond to it. We didn't write anything about it, and we thought it would just go away. A couple months later in September, our Facebook page for Red Rocker Farm, which we haven't used in a while since the cows have been gone, got a posting, and all it said was Nazi on it. Again, we ignored it. We're bigger than that. We're okay. We understand how people can get. But just recently, there were some things on Front Porch Forum about Article 22. And I didn't think it was too bad, but apparently some people really got offended by stuff. But I got another letter after it was over, after the vote and everything was done. I'm happy to share it with the board if they want to see it. It's the same thing. Can I bring it to you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was the same kind of thing. And we're going to just ignore it. We're not going to post anything. But then I started thinking about why is this happening? People who know us, and I think some people here do know us, these aren't things that we were looking to start. Like, I don't believe we start any arguments with people. But the reason I'm bringing it here today is not because I want you to do anything about the letter. I'm stronger than that. My wife's stronger than that. We're not afraid. The reason I'm bringing it to you today is because I'm concerned about the culture of division in this community. And I think some of it has to do with leadership in this community, not just the select board, but in general. Some people who responded to some of the front porch forums are people who they're popular in this community. You know, they have some kind of negative things to say, which I try not to let go that way. But also the board here, it was not too long ago, I sat in a meeting here, and a young man who didn't want to follow any rules, like whatever reason was, he was very respectful, but he didn't follow the rules. And he got a very harsh response. We're gonna call the police, people got upset, and he was being very respectful. He said his piece, he didn't follow the rules about the mask, I get it. And it was inappropriate for him to do that. But the response that he got was not appropriate. You know, if the police came, fine, that would have been great. He would have gone. But he said his piece and he was done. And then the elections come up here for, like, just for an example, we had a select board position that was open. And I'm glad Chris is here today because she ran for a position. And at the last minute, so somebody else ran, and overwhelmingly, they got in, obviously got in. The town's gonna vote the way the town's gonna vote, I get that. But there's no representation for the 30% of the people here who don't, who have R's next to their names. I'm gonna be realistic. They just have R's next to their names. And we just had Justice of Peace. There's 8 positions, and there were 3 people with R's next to their names that ran and couldn't even get close. So for some reason, we have this statement from the board that says, we value everybody's opinion, we grow stronger because of it. Yet, and I give you credit, because Democrats can get together quick and unite and get people out to vote. But there has to be some way that we can get the other voice to be heard too. Because when the other voice isn't heard, then it's okay to send hate mail. It's okay to have that feeling about somebody, even though you don't know them. Just because they're obviously not in the same belief system that you are. I'm gonna probably leave it at that, I think. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm sorry to change the tone of the meeting, I really am. It's a little bit upsetting that I felt like I needed to do that. And if I can let it back, that'd be great, because postal service is looking for it. But again, I'm not looking for you guys to do anything about it. But I am hoping that the message can get a little stronger about people don't always agree with us. And it's okay. It's okay, it doesn't make us bad people. But I'll just leave it at that. I'm just hoping something can change around here. Because the idea of this one community, which I think it is, I've been here 14 years, and we try real hard to do the right thing by this community, make our property look good, and make everybody. It's upsetting to me, it really is. It really is. But understandable. All right, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, George, for bringing that to our attention. It is an important topic, and I find that it's important to hear what everybody has to say. Everybody's voice is very important.
Can I say something too?
Yes, Mike, go.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about the whole thing with the justice thing too. And it does upset me a little bit about this whole politics stuff. I've been on boards of Bourbeau, I've been on planning, zoning, select board, I've been on the board down here. And it just seems like here in the last couple of years, all the years I was on different boards like that, it was never brought up if I was a Republican or a Democrat. When the town come to town politics, I always thought we were there for one, So this is for the town, for the people, and we didn't go in with our own agendas. And I said it's just really getting sad to think that, because I see the whole thing on the justice of the peace, and I said there was 3 people on there that might have been Republican parties that their votes were way down. You could almost see and that's what I brought up too. I said it seems funny that such a little position like that where it's hard to even get people to run for it, and all of a sudden it comes in and it's overwhelmingly all whatever, I guess I don't know what the party is, but I really hate this when it comes to town politics, to think that we're going in as a Republican or a Democrat. Because, you know, the way I look at it, and I said, I'm up for election this year, and I wouldn't be surprised I'll get run out of it, you know, and I've been nothing here but for the town and the town's people. I don't give a shit if they're a Democrat or a Republican or a liberal, whatever you want to call it. You know, I'm here for the town. And I wish everybody would do that instead of come in with other little agendas on different things. Because it shouldn't matter either way. And it's just like George said, if he wants to hang a flag out in his dooryard or whatever, why should anybody care, you know? Why should they, why take on such a penny-ante little thing about something like that, you know? I mean, these guys, like George and his family, I mean, seeing his family and all of them living around this town forever. The town was raised on a lot of them people, you know? And I said, over the years, it was never brought up what party they were coming from. And I wish it would stop. I wish everybody would go back to thinking that you're here for whatever, for the best of the town.
Exactly.
And hate speech is hate speech, and that was definitely hate speech.
Oh, yeah.
It's not okay.
It is not okay. Anyone else like to speak?
Could I just add one thing? Chris White.
Hi, Chris. Good to see you tonight.
Thank you. What's going to happen, and is happening rapidly, is people with other voices are going to stop speaking because nobody's listening.
I hope that's not true. I hope you all everybody keeps speaking because it's important to hear everyone's voice.
Why would we? There's no point. It's very obvious. That's my how I feel.
Yeah, and I said, it's one thing, you know, it's like with the town, we've always tried to push everybody, we've always tried to get people to get involved in the town. And when, like I said, it's not supposed to be one-sided, it's supposed to be, I mean, just like Chris, you know, and Chris White and them, I mean, I'd love to see her on part of the boards because she has a lot of knowledge, she has a lot of stuff. I mean, look at what her husband did to this town, you know, when he first started out, you know, WW, with the villages and all this thing. I mean, as I say, there's been so many people over the years that had all the knowledge about Newfane and did a lot for this whole community. And, you know, not just this community, but all the little towns. And it does seem like it's trying to all go one-sided, and I don't like that at all. And I said that I just wish people could come together. I mean, we shouldn't be arguing about what goes on in our towns. That's just why everything starts costing so, you know? I mean, the school systems, a lot of things are so screwed up right now. And I do like it to have like Chris and all these people that want to participate in things because they do bring a lot of knowledge and they've got a lot of stuff that's, you know, goes for our town.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
I like that we don't have to choose a party to run. I would be hard pressed to choose any party if I were forced to. And I think that's a good thing that we don't have to, and I don't necessarily know why any other position has to.
I was shocked when I saw that on
Yeah.
the ballot for the Justice of the Peace. I
Right.
don't remember seeing that before.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, that was weird. That was very weird. Well, I would just like to say I am so sorry for the letters that you have received. They are despicable. And should whoever have sent that letter happens to be listening to this, I would like to propose a motion from the board to say that we stand absolutely opposed to that kind of hate speech to anyone at any time. It is inappropriate. It is not what our town wants to be about. And I wish for better for our town.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Is there a second to Anne's motion that we have this statement?
I second the motion.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Again, also very sorry that this happened. It is inappropriate and it is not the way our town should be.
And thank you for bringing it to us.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Is there anything further on this topic? Thank you, George. We really appreciate you bringing this to our attention, and please keep us informed. Any other unscheduled members of the public would like to speak? Anybody in the audience, Anne?
No, I mean, no one else was asking to speak.
Okay. We will move on to old business with an ARPA update, review of documentation for the town website. Anne?
Yes. So at one of our meetings, and honestly, I forget which meeting it was, there was a request that that the town put more information about our ARPA funds on the website. And so I pulled that information together. I sent it out to everyone on the board to take a look at it, and just quickly summarizing it. It just explains what ARPA is. It explains the process we have gone through. There will be links to each of the documents that were created, the original survey from the Planning Commission, the findings from the Planning Commission, as well as links to the presentations at the select board meetings. Also then the links and to the presentations and the videos from Chris Campany, Julie Beth Hines, and Jane Douglas and Max Vandervliet when they presented to the select board. And then a listing of the actual requests that have come in so far. And then my thought is that we would keep this updated on a regular basis, showing the what monies have been dispersed and showing the running balance. So if this is agreeable with the select board, and or if anyone has any suggested changes, I would then give it to Bauman and ask him to put it on our website so anyone in the town could access it.
I think that's great. Is there a motion to put that request on our town website? That's what we're asking for.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
further discussion. Are there any changes you'd like to see, or are we okay with what's been presented?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this going to include a description of the process for putting in a request for some ARPA money? I mean, I don't think there's a formal process or a form or something to be filled out. Is that going to be part of the description?
We haven't done that. If we want to consider doing that, we certainly can. But to date, what we have said is people can contact us by writing to the administrative assistant, and it can be an email describing what it is people want, and then the select board can get back to that person requesting more information as needed.
Because I put in a request for DD fiber and really haven't heard anything. I mean, I know the budget process is ongoing right now, so you guys are pretty busy, so.
Well, I believe that we had promised that we would do this and make everything available to the town, so I personally felt the need to complete this and get it up on the website before we made any decisions. But it would be my recommendation that before we complete the budget process, that we review the applications we have received to date.
That makes sense, yes.
So that we would be getting back to you with an answer within a month, I would say.
I'll be writing another request for Newfane and New to get some of the ARPA money as well. Okay. Well, I haven't filled anything out because I wasn't sure if there was going to be a formal process.
I don't really.
If just a letter is sufficient.
I think so. I don't see, I mean, we're not being flooded with requests, so should it change, we can change the process, but why add more forms if we don't need to.
Right. All right. Any further discussion on the motion?
I do think we had committed something to that back when we were being asked regarding flea market. And I don't, maybe that's fallen through, but
What we had promised with her was that we were going to look into what other kinds of business support is available.
Right.
And so Angela and I have been doing that, and we have not completed it because we've both been swamped, and we're still waiting to get more information from BDCC. But honestly, when I have a minute to breathe, I can go back to that. I just haven't been able to.
okay.
Not forgotten, just delayed.
Right. There's been a lot that's been happening lately. All right. Any further?
Documentation now?
I don't know that it needs to, no,
Okay.
but maybe just a sentence that says
Okay.
requests
Sure.
requests for ARPA funds.
Please submit a letter to the administrative assistant.
That's at the end.
Something very simple or, okay.
That's at the
Yep,
end.
reminder.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Anything further on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay. Next, we have Katie with more cannabis updates, discussion of forming a Newfane Cannabis Control Commission.
So I have not had a whole lot of luck contacting other CCC boards to ask them how they did it, but Wilmington did get back to me. And they said that the select board named themselves. They sent a letter up to the Cannabis Control Board in Montpelier, and Nellie Marvel reached back to them and was in contact with them. They have not had any official meetings as the CCC, and they have no specific management plans going into that. Not a huge help. But Brattleboro and Chester did not get back to me. However, I do think that we can also make that vote, and I would make a motion that we, the Newfane Select Board, make that vote tonight to form our Cannabis Control Commission. And I have a letter prepared that I can read off. This is very simple. This is what will be sent to the Vermont Cannabis Control Board. We, the Newfane Select Board, have voted to form a Cannabis Control Commission on this 21st day of November 2022. We reserve the discretion of licensing to the sitting members of the Select Board and to oversee the matters that come before us in a timely fashion. Our point of contact from the Vermont Cannabis Control Board shall continue to be the town clerk, and licensing fees shall be distributed to the town treasurer for deposit into our town accounts. Respectfully, the Newfane Select Board.
And this is all that they're requesting.
This is all that's requested.
Cool.
This leaves without.
It's actually simple.
It's very simple. It's extremely simple.
I'll make a motion to do that.
Great, thanks.
I'll second.
Further discussion? If you sign tonight, I can come over in the morning and sign.
Great.
Anything further?
And Mike, if you could come in at some point and sign.
Yep, I think we need a full house to send this off to the CCB, sorry.
All right.
Come over first thing.
Yeah, we can get it off this week, that's great.
I was just also just printed your name also. And I'll put the date too.
Yep.
All right, any further discussion?
Any of these, that one's the official.
Oh,
We
sorry.
can sign it at the end.
Okay.
Nope, we still need to hold a vote.
Okay, are we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the ayes have it. Excellent. Moving right along to the flood hazard bylaw update. Are there any updates on that? I have not heard of any.
Nor have I.
So we'll keep that on our running list.
Yep.
And next we have the traffic calming, which includes finalizing membership of the new committee. So right now it looks like our committee consists from the community of Breeze Verdon from Williamsville, Diana Urbaska from Village of Newfane, Joan Weir from Williamsville, and Lance Lindgren, South Newfane, and J. Violet Gannon. I'm not sure where they're from. Does anybody know?
No.
And then Patty Johnson, also from the Village of Newfane, had said she would be interested, but sent an email today that she is not, she's going to pull back from it right now. But she would be interested in auditing the meetings and giving feedback. So we'll keep that in mind. So I think at this point, I would really like to have another person from South Newfane and another person from the Village of Newfane. So there's like 2 members from each village, and maybe even some folks from Brookside if people can get the word out. That way we have a very good committee on all parts of this issue in every village. And I think that will be important. And once we can get a couple more people, we can get started on going through everything.
Could you say the last name after Lance Lindgren again?
I have Breeze Verdant, J. Violet Gannon, Diana Urbaska, Joan Weir, and Lance Lindgren. And then from the select board, my understanding that it's Katie, and I offered. Is anybody else interested?
That you would, Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff also.
Jeff also.
Okay.
And if all 3 of us are on it, all we have to do is warn it, right?
You have to warn it, but what we can do is you 2 can start, and if you need an alternate, if somebody can't be there,
Okay.
Yeah.
we think about that.
Sounds good.
Or do
Yeah.
you think we should all be a part of it?
The only thing to warning a meeting is posting the agenda. So if the committee meets, it's just items that you're going to be discussing, you know.
We can do that as well. So why don't we just plan on the 3 of us for now? And maybe if we can get the word out to some folks in, more folks in Brookside. And I think one more, well, let's find out where J. Violet Gannon is from, and then maybe we have enough people. And then we can reach out to everybody via email and find some dates that we can all meet and get started on this. Okay? Juanetta, can you post it on Front Porch Forum that we're still looking for a couple more folks from other villages?
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much.
Specifically Brookline and
Brookside.
And South Newfane.
I have 2 from Williamsville, 1 from South Newfane, and 1 from Newfane. So maybe another Newfane and another South Newfane. Or if you could reach out to this other person that we don't know which village they're from and find out, Juanetta.
Yes.
That'd be great. And then we'll get started on this.
Great.
Anything further? If not, we will move into town beautification suggestions by Jeff.
All right. I have not yet reached out to Kindle Farm, but that's on my list of things to do. I'd also like to reach out to Dutton's and see if they'd be willing to participate. I did notice going through Brattleboro, all the little flower beds, everyone seems to be sponsored by a different group. I don't know if they're all managed by a different group or if it's just one landscaping company is managing the whole thing and
all the flower pots and the hanging
not the
flowers?
flower pots, but like at every
like in the median?
Yeah, in every median and every corner, there's some little flower.
Okay, like the Rotary Club.
The Rotary Club did one. I think I can't remember all of them, but I did notice that one has a different sign. So it might be something good to put out to the community and see if any of our local businesses want to sponsor some areas. But yeah, it's still on my list to really start calling people. I have yet to get there.
We have time till spring.
It's coming fast though.
And what about the idea of the hanging pots or whatever?
Yeah, so using the steel from the South Newfane, the large bridge, I'd like to also put out a press release to any local artisans who would like to try to work with some of that material to create flower pots or like hanging pot stands that we could put around the community, possibly some flower, something to hang off the new bridge. But yeah, we'll need to reach out to artisans and see what they think. I work with wood, so it's not something I know too much about, working with steel and old iron, but it seems like people do some pretty creative stuff with it, so.
It could be very cool.
I think it could be very cool. Yeah. And we do have some amazing artisans in our community, so.
Right.
I love the idea of putting flowers on the bridges, on some of the bridges, like that sounds.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of having these unique, different receptacles with
right.
flowers.
Well, I think it's also, if they were all different and sculptural, it's another thing that stops people and causes people to look around a little bit more.
Right. I think it's a great
It's a
idea.
talking point. It's because I think a lot of people have realized that if you get people to look around, they slow down. Signs do so much, but actually creating something that people want to see is beneficial to get people to slow down a bit.
Yeah.
I think the other thing to think about would be if there would be monies that we need to be putting aside for this, and
yeah, definitely would need some money. Perhaps an ARPA request for a little bit.
I think personally, I think it'd be totally appropriate for ARPA, and I think you'd want to think through what you would imagine, how many you would hope that we might be able to get, and then and the budget, what the average price would be for each. I'm sure some might be more, some might be less.
Right.
If you can put some of those dimensions together,
yep.
I'd be happy to work with you on a press release when you're ready for that.
That'd be excellent, yeah.
Great.
Really fun.
I'll go do some driving.
I think in Brattleboro, there was a gentleman who volunteered his time to do it.
Dick DeGray. He does all the flower pots and the hanging flowers. He does such an incredible job.
Yeah, they look great. I wish they stayed hanging all the time.
I actually get sad when the summer flowers get pulled out and the mums get put in.
I think I think it would be such a unique talking point for our town.
I think so too. I think it would be very good.
And I love the idea of coming from the Arch Bridge.
All right, sounds like that's getting underway, so that's good. Is there anything new, else under old business?
Sort of. Back to the bridge opening.
Oh, yes.
Sounds like that might happen Wednesday, possibly.
Possibly.
And if not, then we have Thanksgiving in the way, and then, I don't know, it's so hard to tell, but I feel like a last minute ditch effort is what it's gonna be.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like if they don't show up to paint, then they can't open it.
Right.
And then it won't be till Friday, but then it's supposed to rain on Friday. I don't know if they paint the grid, paint the lines with the rain.
No, it has to be dry.
It has to be dry, so.
You know, I was almost, if the bridge is ready to open, even if it didn't have the paint on it, if it's been delayed because of the paint, wouldn't it almost pay still to have the thing and open the bridge and
It would be nice.
It would be nice.
I wish Jay was still on to talk about why that is or is not feasible.
Well,
We could definitely ask
lines,
offline.
what it is, it's supposed to be designed with a paint on it to make it look like a one-lane bridge.
Right.
Right.
Like I'm saying, is at least it would be open, and then when it comes time to paint it, when they have the day that they can paint, if we get that day this year, they just shut the bridge down for the day and close the road off like they did any other time, and paint the lines and let it set for the day, and then open it the next morning. But as far as opening the bridge up for the traffic, I hate to see it held up just because we don't have paint on the road. They could open the bridge up at least for the holiday and the weekends and all that.
I agree. I think that every time I drive by, perfectly drivable bridge.
Yeah.
To go around.
Like I said, it's only the paint that's not going to be on it. And I said, it looks like everything's not going to be held up. If they call and say, well, we can't do it Wednesday, I would like to see the ceremony thing still go through Wednesday, open the bridge. The day that they can have a day to paint, let them paint it,
So, I don't know if there's a way to contact Jay.
I can ask him to call back in.
You want to do that? Because I feel like it's kind of pressing, where we want to do this thing, we want to have a date, and I know, but maybe he has a good reason for why they can't reopen it, and I'm going to guess it's probably to do with the fact that it's federal. But
could be that. It could be that. They also did spend quite a bit of time cleaning it to get ready for paint.
They were working on it today, both times I drove by. Trying to get snow off of it and still shoveling around in the dirt on the opposite side.
Yeah, the whole thing is, it's just getting to that time of year now where the dew gets into the blacktop and that paint just might not even stick anyways. By spring it'll be gone, it could be a thing, maybe it'll have to wait till spring, once they start plowing the roads. And I've painted roads this time of year on different projects I had because they said, oh, you gotta have it on, but, state highways, and it's gone within a week or two when you get the damp weather and the traffic traveling over it, the snowplows hitting it.
I told him to call your phone, Katie.
Hi, Jay. You're on speaker now, and I'm gonna turn you up so that we can ask you just a couple questions about the feasibility of holding the opening party on Wednesday, even if the painting can't happen.
Okay.
So we're wondering if that's possible, or if there's something to do with it being a federal status that keeps us from using the bridge.
So I think they're just trying to avoid opening it without the lines, just from a liability standpoint. But it sounded like if it didn't happen, they might consider opening it anyways. But I think you'd be fine to plan it for Wednesday afternoon. I don't think they can paint early in the morning, so it may have to be afternoon before anything could happen, because just to give the paint a little bit to dry.
Sure. Like
2?
Like 3? Like approximately.
But I guess what we were talking about, Jay, was say if the weather isn't permitted, or the paint company can't come Wednesday.
Yep.
Like I said, I'd rather see the bridge open for Thanksgiving and the weekend. Because like Jeff said, he thought it was going to rain Friday. If they're not here by Wednesday to paint because of conditions, or they're booked somewhere else, we could be looking at another week or so before we get the condition that would allow them to paint the road. I'd rather see the road open, Right.
Well, Chad Greenwood had mentioned that he wanted it open by Thanksgiving somehow, so I think they're trying to make that happen, so I'm pretty sure somehow they're gonna open it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think if we plan the thing for Wednesday afternoon, no matter what, the lines are down or not, that way they can open it for the Thanksgiving.
Yep, and I can talk with Chad in the morning and just tell him that that's what we wanna do and see if he has any reason not to, but I don't think he will.
If we can, if we can do it maybe around 3 before it gets dark, that'd be great.
Right.
Because sunsets at 4.
Yeah.
I'll actually, if you can wait till morning, I'll see if maybe it could even happen at 2-ish.
Okay.
I'll check with them first thing and see if I can get a better answer.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay.
So I'll make,
All right, bye-bye.
great, thanks, Jay. Good night.
Are you going to have someone taking photographs and are you going to send it to the press or do a press release?
Yes, Chris May is on the on hook, and I just need to give him time and date. And Cindy Berry has given us the permission to use her rental property yard. So after we do the cutting, we can let the road go and be open, but if people want to linger and look a little longer or whatever they want to do, we'll have a simple beverage table set up in that yard with water and cider, maybe mulled cider if I can swing it with electricity, and just very basic so that people can take a look a little longer if they feel like it or chat.
Sounds great.
Along with Chris Mays, do you suppose he'll get a hold of Chris Ratter, their photographer, as well?
Oh, I
So
don't
they'll
know.
both be there? That would probably be good.
Okay.
So 2 o'clock on Wednesday or 3?
We'll have confirmation tomorrow.
Right, but that's what we're thinking of, perhaps?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then we could do a front porch forum post as soon as we find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. I had already put stuff out in the Williamsville Bulletin and the Newfane Facebook group as well. People have been checking it, wondering if it's gonna be happening soon. So I will take whatever front porch post goes out and then put it there as well.
Great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything further on that or any other business we need to take care of?
Juanetta, did you receive the ribbons?
I did.
Yay.
I have the spool of ribbon. I ordered this feather banner thing, but thought that it included the hardware. I have the banner, but no hardware to stand them up.
Do we have some wire?
Sticks.
Maybe on the back of the
It's
truck.
It's like curved.
Yeah.
A curved banner with no hardware.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a gap in I don't know what happened to a couple of my emails, and it's everything to do with our discussions. So I can't just bring it up and show you, but it's very, red, white, and blue open, and it has like a tall curve thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I need something kind of sturdy to support it.
Can it go on a truck? In the back of a truck?
What's that, to hold the ribbon up?
No, they're like outdoor open signs.
It's like the curve, like the feather.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
like this shape,
Yes.
approximately.
Yes.
I wonder if David up at the Newfane Market has something when they had their opening.
I wonder, he might. It's unfortunate, that's on my list of things to buy for my boots.
Or if we just go to WW and purchase what we need.
Maybe.
Some sort of flag
Sounds
holder
good.
stand.
Yeah,
Maybe Jay has something, I don't know.
maybe.
It'll be all right.
How tall is it? Like 12 feet?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Maybe 4. Just glancing at it.
All right. I can probably just look at the package and see.
Oh, it's bigger than I thought. I guess it is 12 feet tall.
It is
7,
probably
9?
9.
No, bigger.
Bigger. 12.
I think it's more like 12.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Okay. I can make something.
Looks like it goes up through the sleeve.
Yeah, it's just a metal rod that goes up through the sleeve and
Yeah.
then anchors into the ground.
Yep.
Yeah, I can make something if you want me to.
You know, the only other choice I could think of is you cut each of the letters, turn them around, and then make it back that goes across. And get it down.
Resew the thing. That seems ambitious.
That's something I could do.
A nice flexible bamboo
Yeah, I
cord
mean,
or something.
Does anyone
I
have
have
a
some like
tentacle?
PVC conduit, like PVC pipe. Something might work.
And an elbow?
Yeah.
How about
Hey,
like, those flex rods that you use for cleaning your stovepipe? They're pretty flexible.
They are. I don't have any, unfortunately.
I have one.
Right.
Like you said, like Jeff just
It's
said,
like
a very
12
WW
Is it
gets
just
a
the one?
3/4 inch
No, I
pipe,
have 2.
Yeah.
PVC pipe, make a pipe and stuff up it.
Yeah, I've actually got some that I use for my signs in my booth that I can just repurpose for that.
Maybe
So,
take the sign and then.
yeah, I'll take the sign and I'll make it work.
Just
Great.
fantastic. Yeah.
2 signs or?
Your select board at work, figuring out how to make a sign stand up.
We can do it.
All right. So thank you, Jeff. Going to take on that project.
No problem.
Awesome.
All right. Do you see in the folder, do we have any correspondence?
There was none.
Excellent. May I entertain a motion that we go into executive session under Title I V.S.A. Section 313 of Vermont's open meeting law to discuss a contract issue?
Make a motion.
Make a motion. Second it.
Great. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We will go into executive session at 7:32 p.m. Somebody want to call Jay?
I will do that.
All right, thank you, everyone. We exited executive session at 7:45, and it was for under Title I V.S.A. Section 313 of Vermont's open meeting law to discuss a contract issue, and that issue is still under review, so nothing happening at this time. And if there's nothing further, I'd like to take this moment to thank everyone for coming to the select board meeting tonight. It's important to hear everyone's view and hear from all of the folks from our town, especially anyone with cares and concerns, and also for the folks that joined us for their special appropriation requests. We're going to move into pay orders. And can you 3 do the pay orders?
Yes.
We've got it, and we'll sign the motion.
Yes, and I will be in to sign that first thing tomorrow morning. And take care and stay safe, everyone.
And happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And happy Thanksgiving.